Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to CFL Central, CFL content for the fans, by the fans. Oh boy.
And the search party has finally found Carter after he went
Yeah.
missing for those 3 months.
We have had a very busy schedule. I've had a very busy schedule. I don't know about you, Rick. I know you've just kind of had same old, same old. I am in college, and it's been kicking me straight in the dick. And so we're just trying to hang in there. And there's a lot of CFL stuff to talk about. Some of it that makes me happy. Some of it that makes me not so happy.
Nervous?
Stupid fucking name change to the building. Okay. And
yeah.
and yeah. So Rick, it's been like 2-3 months. How are you? The people need to know. How are you? How is Rick?
Let's just say I'm a super nervous wreck right now.
Oh yeah? Why's that?
Only because I'm nervous for some of my Ticat players from leaving.
Oh, you're nervous about players leaving. You're nervous about players leaving.
I'm nervous.
Oh, okay. I know.
Let me tell you.
Players leave.
Let me tell you. Here's the thing. When we have a crap O-line and we bring back every single freaking person on that O-line except for 3 people, and Bo Levi was out most of last season, and you still have not re-signed 2 of your top receivers, so we have crap. And I'm not just talking my team. Like, you look across the whole league,
there's tons of guys.
No one's big name players have signed yet.
I mean, if I'm thinking Bombers, we got Stanley Bryant, and that's about it. But we're going to start on the West and work our way east. Could this take 30 minutes? Yes. Could this take an hour? Yes. Could we get sidetracked and talk about nonchalant bullshit for 30 minutes? Absolutely. You know how it is here. So we're starting all the way on the West. We're starting with the B, the C, the Lions, and
there's so many things.
Dominic Rhymes has left, and not only has he left, he is signed with the full of quarterbacks Red Blacks, because we used to call them the no quarterbacks Red Blacks, but now they got the Drew Bound train, baby. Anyways, but Dominic Rhymes is over there.
Question.
Yeah.
Wasn't Rhymes the one that screwed up that touchdown?
Like the one where
he was running backwards and he wasn't paying attention.
And he should have just went down to get the field goal and instead tried to run. Yeah, that was Dominic Rhymes. That was Dominic Rhymes.
Also,
some Ottawa Red Blacks football, ladies and gentlemen.
So here's the other thing.
Yep.
BC Lions currently don't have a backup quarterback because Dane Evans retired and he's now coaching high school football in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah, I can't wait till Mike Riley comes out of retirement.
Please.
Anyways, so BC gotta have that figured out. Got Vernon Adams Jr. still in there. Whitehead's gonna be gone. And then who are the 2 receivers that they did sign? Because you said that...
so they have Hatcher and Hollins both making over two bills.
See, that's crazy to me in the sense of not because like they don't deserve it or they're not excellent players, but when Lucky Whitehead signed that deal in BC just like 2 or 3 years ago for $200,000, it was the highest a receiver has ever gotten paid in the CFL, and we're not even 2 years later, and then 2 guys who are good, I don't think they were as good as Whitehead was at the time, are now making that. And we're gonna see like almost 10 receivers in a 9-team league making like $200,000 a year.
That's what I'm saying.
It's crazy.
Rhymes just signed with Ottawa for $195.
Wait, Rhymes signed for what?
2-year deal, $195.
Oh my god. Well, okay. Well, you know what? He's also getting the 2-year deal though, which is something where are they signing 2-year deals in BC or are they just one?
I can find out.
Because the thing is that we don't get that. Like, there's some 2-year deal. It's hard to get a 2-year deal in the CFL because guys can vary so much. I mean, we'll see.
Hollins signed for 2. Hatcher signed for 3.
Whoa, that is shocking. Because
Hatcher is
their guy.
Well, no, Hatcher was their best receiver.
Fair.
But the thing that has me nervous...
Rhymes also had a few games out, though. Yeah.
So they have Hollins, Hatcher, and Cotty. That's it. Rhymes is gone. Lucky Whitehead still hasn't been signed yet, so it's questionable. You haven't re-signed Betts yet. You think that Betts would have been the first player you would have
Betts has to
signed?
be a priority in BC. That he was the staple of that BC defense, and even then, that defense still had issues. If they lose Betts,
Even
they're in serious trouble.
even with Ben Haletic, even he hasn't been signed yet either, and he was their second, well, their best linebacker, anyways.
Hmm. I see. Yeah, and then although the Lions, it wasn't even that long ago. They were making a post about one of their returners. I'm trying to remember who it was. Let me
That they
see.
just re-signed
I think it was
Terry
Luke.
Williams.
Yeah. So when I see that, and they are like, this is our guy, this is our returner, this is who we're going with. That tells me that that Whitehead's gone because he's lost that returning spot. Now here's the question. So another interesting signing is they sign Denzel Williams, who is at the 2022 training camp for the Baltimore Ravens. He's going to be there at defensive back, so it adds definitely some good defense there, in just to defend the passing game there. So it's just like I'm just taking a look
So
here. They got
I while
Daniel
you're looking at
Joseph.
that
Yep.
up, I'm just gonna mention something to our viewers. So I did my homework, as Carter always likes to make fun of me in the stats person.
No, 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 no,
Um,
no. It's good.
so
It's good because
so from
I'm
February,
loud.
so February 5th
Yep.
to February 12th, if you're not officially a free agent, but you're not signed yet, you can negotiate with any team in the league. And then come the 12th at noon, all of those contracts get sent to every team in the league. So then you go back to your team and you say, okay, I have all these offers by these teams. What are you going to match it? Are you going to do better? Or am I going leaving?
That's
And
cool.
that's what I think a lot of the big name players are waiting for, to see what they can possibly get on the open market. Because until the 13th at 12 noon, they're still technically with that team until 12 noon on the 13th.
Interesting. Yeah, the way the way this free agency is working is really really strange in the sense of if we look at last free agency, now for
I think that was like 2 years
pretty much
ago. That wasn't a big one.
pretty much last well let's look at last year's free agency. Calgary was pretty much the only team who essentially signed like no one,
Correct.
and everyone else made a lot of moves. The Bombers basically re-signed their entire roster in 2 months. Basically everyone. Seriously, it was
Yeah.
crazy. And now we're looking at a situation where BC is losing two big guys, and it looks like everyone's losing big guys, or at least having uncertainties. As I mean, Bombers have one big guy that they got to sign. They got two big guys, but one that like they really need to keep. Um, that should have been a certainty. That's now not, which is terrifying. BC, the thing is that I don't know. So here's the question. Let's say they don't re-sign Whitehead. I think that's pretty fair to say. They can't re-sign Dominic Rhymes. He's gone.
Yeah.
Who do the if you're the BC Lions, who do you target? So
But
I think locking
here,
down Matthew Betts is priority one.
so now are you talking about wide receivers?
I'm talking about roster.
Okay.
Where do you see
So
holes in that lineup? Where do you see them looking? Do you see them looking for a receiver? Because if so, I don't see you. I don't see you looking for a top tier receiver that you're going to be paying all that money because you got two guys over 200 grand. I mean, that's where I think like a guy like I mean I know he's under contract with the Bombers, but just in terms of skill level comparable, Drew
so
Wolotarski,
here's
just a nice reliable guy in that regard. I think Rashid Bailey is under a 1 year deal. I think that wouldn't be the
So
worst
here's
look for them. I think if they look towards
here's
Toronto and look towards a guy like Carlton Agudosi,
it's not really a worry for me. Like, I think the one spot, like, if you didn't worry about defense or anything, my worry for BC has to be quarterback. Only because if
backup.
backup, because
So then here's the question. So Ottawa can't hold on to everyone. Drew
no,
Brown, I think, is going to be the starter. I think they
until Mazzoli fully comes back, then you
are they
have
still doing that?
Mazzoli just restructured his contract, so he's
Interesting.
there. So
So
you
Drew
figure,
Brown and Mazzoli are the guys.
okay,
Dustin
so
Crum, do you think they keep? So here's a question.
so I'll give you a list of all the free agent quarterbacks.
Okay.
Okay, so you have Dominic Davis, Cornelius, Mason Fine,
I think
Mason
Cornelius would be
Fine,
a good number two in BC.
Mason Fine, and Dolagala.
Okay.
Then you have uh Drew Dakota Prukop.
Yeah, if you're the Bombers, try to hold on to him.
Then who Hamilton, we're losing Schultz, Loxley.
Jesus Christ, he's like half the league's quarterbacks.
Yeah. And then you have Toronto. Toronto never did have a backup quarterback that was decent.
Well, they had what's his name who did
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, Scott and the
Dukes.
other two came. Yeah, but they weren't like big name
Okay,
quarterbacks though.
are they free agents though?
No, they're not.
Okay, the reason why I'm asking is they're a suitable backup role. And
Yeah,
so it's one of
then
those
you
things, if we're
have
talking about guys available to fill a backup spot
then
in
you have
BC,
Ottawa's Arbuckle.
that's not happening.
Other than that, those are your only quality quarterbacks. Like,
So
there's like
here's the thing.
no one.
In BC, I think you look for one of three guys. I think you look for Prukop, Cornelius, or Dolagala. I think those are the three you look for. And with Prukop and Cornelius, because one of the things you want is you want the short yardage game. Prukop's got
Yes.
that in spades. He does. Cornelius, he is being competent in that role when he was playing with Trey Ford. It worked. And so, with a guy like Dolagala, though, you're arguably getting probably the most reliable all around backup in the sense of if you have to have him throw, throwing game's pretty decent. He did pretty well in Saskatchewan with literally a roster filled with injuries. He did pretty decent, especially considering he was getting no help from that offensive line. He was not. And so it's one of those things where I think those are the guys you look at. But besides that, I think that's pretty much like, is there anything else we got to really touch base on for the BC Lions? We got a whole league to cover here.
Yeah.
So are we going to Edmonton or Calgary next? I can't remember.
We will.
Who's technically more west? I can't remember. Both Alberta.
Well, according to the free agent list, we're going Edmonton next. So the interesting Edmonton Elks.
Okay, there's one situation where the Trey Ford Bethel Thompson deal doesn't look. So for those not aware, McLeod Bethel Thompson, he's back. He's back to the CFL. He's in Edmonton because Chris Jones said, Trey Ford, go fuck yourself. So the only way that this works is if Trey Ford plays 50%. 50% of the games, and you use Bethel Thompson to elevate Trey Ford. If you use him like that, I think you really can have a really, really good Trey Ford next year. Like, not this year, but the year following. And having him get some time this year, kind of like the way that Bo Levi Mitchell was preparing Jake Mayer to take over. Now, one thing Bo Levi Mitchell didn't anticipate is that Jake Mayer would throw the ball, not always get a catch, but he would still keep throwing the ball because he was leading the league in passing yards and interceptions at the same time, which was funny, which was hilarious to me. But it's one of those things where I think if you have Bethel Thompson, you use Bethel Thompson to elevate Trey Ford. Do I think it would have been just a kind of a good idea to run with Trey Ford? Yeah. However, that's not what they did. Edmonton fans are now in confusion because Chris Jones does Chris Jones kind of things. And so the question now is who else is Edmonton bringing in? If they're bringing in Bethel Thompson, if they're spending all this money at quarterback, they better have left some good money to spend elsewhere because the Elks sure as hell need it.
So I'm gonna stick with the whole Edmonton thing. And
Actually, I have one question. Have they re-signed what's his name? The kicker, the one we interviewed.
so
I'm why am I blanking on his
he's
name?
not a free agent. He's not
Okay,
on the
no.
free
Okay,
agent
Dean
list.
Faithful. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, Dean. I'm sorry. You're great. I
So
promise.
here's the interesting thing, depending on who you speak with. So the trade between Edmonton and
Controversy.
Toronto.
Yep.
So you give up your best defender for a wide receiver. A wide receiver that's only played one full season in 4 years. In
So
Curly Gittens Jr.
yeah.
He's
So
only had
who did they trade for Curly Gittens Jr.? Sorry.
they traded, let me pull it up here. They traded their best defender.
Being
Hold on, I gotta pull up the name here.
that's kind of scary because Edmonton couldn't play defense before.
And it was
Honestly, if you're Edmonton, look to sign Matthew Betts. For the love of God, get something.
but the only thing is Gittens was the guy for McLeod Bethel Thompson in Toronto, apparently. Where is it? Oh, here we go. So it was Gittens in a 7th from Ottawa for Jake Karesna and the rights to a negotiation player. No, it doesn't say what.
Not the worst deal I've seen. Curly Gittens Jr. That
No,
is a decent piece.
But here's the thing: Kresna had 48 defensive tackles,
and there's your problem.
And 12 sacks.
That's the thing. And on the Edmonton Elks, that is another thing that is important. He was able to get those stats. He was able.
So, but here's the thing. So then you have, if you resign your wide receivers, you have Geno Lewis,
Okay.
Gittens Jr.
Good stuff.
You also have Kyron Moore if you resign him.
Wouldn't be the worst resigning. I'd be okay with that.
You also have Kevin Brown, Dylan Mitchell. You got rid of Dunbar. You released Dunbar.
I don't think it'd be the worst thing in the world if the Elks decide to sign one receiver. Just one. However, they could do that. However, I do think the Elks really need to focus more defensively. That is the weak spot on this team. It really is. Although, again, who do they have at running back right now?
They have Brown.
Brown's okay.
Kevin Brown. Well, I mean, he did have just under 1,200 yards rushing.
He was able to do pretty well. The thing was, I was just trying to think. Because the thing is, it's been so long. I'm trying to remember. I'm like Kevin Brown. And I was like, okay, yeah, he was like I think third in rushing yards. He was pretty decent. Now it's one of those things where again, I don't know what he was years prior, so I don't.
Technically, he was second in rushing yards.
Was he second? He was second to Oliveira, and then was it Ouellette who was in
James?
third?
Nope, it was James Butler.
No, it was James Butler. Yes, because
then it was Ouellette.
Because the CFL kept doing this Oliveira versus Ouellette thing because they have similar builds and they're similar in skill, except Oliveira got way more points than Ouellette ever did. It was kind of like an interesting thing in that regard. But yeah, no, I think Kevin Brown's a solid piece there. Again, my point remains in the regard that the Elks need to look defensively. So here's the question: who are some of the defensive players available on the open market?
For Edmonton.
Well, that they can sign.
Oh God. I mean, what team are you looking at? Like, there's so many out there.
Players that Edmonton can sign from the
No.
league.
But what I'm saying is, like, if you look at every team, like, there's so many unsigned defensive players.
Okay, is
Like,
there?
I can count just like 12 alone just from the Ticats, and that's
That's a good
including
point.
Simone Lawrence and
That's a good.
Jamal Thurman.
That's a good point. So then here, let me maybe narrow this. So if you're thinking of guys that are likely to not resign, likely to actually become free agents, that will most
Uh,
likely not stay with their team, and like and you're or guys that just there's a chance they make it to open market. Who do you think? Because I think if you're the Edmonton Elks, you look to do a few things. Number one, improve the pass rush. Number two, I think you try to improve your deep ball defense. If you can at least get rid of if you can at least improve your deep ball defense, and you can force your opponent to go into short passes, that's when your
the
when you're going to be
one,
getting more downs. That's when you give the chance for the pass rush to really be able to do some damage. So, I think improving the
I
the
mean,
pass rush, improve your D line, and improving the defensive backs will be your slots will be or
I
corners, not slots.
I don't
Corners.
know if they would sign him, but Derek Moncrief is a free agent.
Who would the
Saskatchewan
Events sign?
released him, so I mean,
Yeah, well, that was a
there's
part of Saskatchewan that actually wasn't within
Laner
Ontario.
from Calgary hasn't been signed yet. Like, there's like, I mean, it's too early to tell who's available and who's not because I mean, you still have
Because this is a strange year for free agents.
because if I look at my
I
calendar,
feel
so
like
let me
we're gonna get
just
a billion signings the day before free
so
agency.
free agency is 3 weeks tomorrow.
It's coming
Like
up.
that's
It's getting close.
so the negotiation window that I was talking about is 2 weeks today, and it goes from the 5th to a week later to the 12th that you can negotiate with whatever team you want.
I see.
And
I
then
see.
come
I
the
see.
12th, you can just tell your team like, here's my plans and this is what they're offering me and just
You got
but
anything?
then
Like
you never know what other teams are going to offer you either.
that's true.
That's why I'm saying within the next 2 weeks, well, between now and the 5th, you'll see a lot of players, a lot of teams resign most players. But looking at that, there's nothing. I don't know. I'm just trying to see if I don't know if they brought in. Okay, that's medical staff. So Edmonton hasn't announced their new coaching staff. I mean, besides Chris Jones being their head coach, still they haven't announced anything. This
I see.
is, if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the last year of Chris Jones' contract, if I'm not mistaken.
All the Elks fans wait with envy.
Oh, and don't forget, I'm not sure if you remember it. This is going back. They are closing the upper bowl at
Yes,
Edmonton because
Commonwealth
of
Stadium.
that's so sad.
Well, although to be fair,
Like I get it though,
it,
but
it's
like
it's the right decision.
no, but I mean if you also weren't in the crapper for a couple of weeks or a couple of years, like if you promoted the crap out of that team properly,
Yep.
then you could have a good
Well,
full state. Well, not really a full
Medium.
stadium, but
They're not going to fill the stadium. It's a 60,000 seat venue. Um, the building is kind of too big in a lot of ways, and the lower bowl of that stadium is still. I mean, I think it's still bigger than like Tim Hortons Field and some other stadiums. And other stadiums around the league. That's not an insult, by the way. That's just it's big. It's big and old. And so it's one of those things where the Elks said, we want to keep the action closer to the field. And that's a good decision because the thing is you need to build atmosphere. And that's one thing that the Elks need to do. And that's why this is the right decision is that you need to build atmosphere. Get everyone tight together, fill that lower bowl, get everyone next to each other, and get them loud. And then when you're able to do that, and people want to start coming to the games, and you hit playoffs, that's when you open the up.
I mean, if you really think about it, BC doesn't. Toronto Argos don't open the one side of
but
their
the
stadium.
Lions do open it up occasionally when they're
Yeah.
able to attract that big crowd. And how have they been able to attract that big crowd? By doing a few things. Extracurricular stuff in order to be able to get them in, get people into the game. So they had One Republic that one year. They've been able to have like almost like a little concert thing at
When
halftime.
you have an
There's been
owner that
incentive.
actually
There's
gives,
been promotions everywhere. When I went to Vancouver just the other year. Every subway station I was in, Lions, 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 more than the Canucks in some regards. It was everywhere. But that's what you got to do, especially when you're the CFL, because the NHL has an established fan base in Canada. The NHL puts no effort in, and they're going to fill their buildings and do a good job. That's just how it goes. But when it comes to the CFL, there's not that guarantee. There isn't. And so they have to promote. And their new BC owner has done a phenomenal job with that. So kudos to him for that. The Elks got to do that. Hopefully, we'll be able to see the Upper Bowl at Commonwealth open up sometime with butts in the seats. Overall, though, I think that's all we got for the Elks.
That's all I have. Next is going
Stampy
to be
Boys.
The only Dickinson left in the league.
That's right. And trust me, they still don't want him.
Okay, so there's lots of questions that I have with this team. First off,
are we going to do anything in free agency, Calgary? Free agency. You know what time of the year is, do you? Are we going to do anything? You didn't do anything last year.
What do you do with your three-headed monster running back situation?
So, can we, just to kind of get back to, just to kind of clarify, who are the three we're talking about? We want to make sure we're clear.
Kadeem Carey, Dedrick Mills, and Peyton Logan.
So not Peyton Logan, I'll tell you that.
But I mean, at the same time, both Carey's injury prone. Like, yeah, he's a top receiver, but I mean, let me just actually pull
Kadeem Carey is a funny one in the regards of he's the obvious choice in terms of who do you want. But then Dedrick Mills did decent, and Kadeem Carey is very injury prone. And so that's kind of an issue you got there. But at some point, you got to just...
So in his
with a guy
4
that's
years,
injury prone, I don't think you just move him just because he's prone to injuries, because it's possible. The reason why I'm saying this is a Bomber fan. Look at Zach Collaros. Injury prone his entire career. Finally keep him healthy. Best damn quarterback in the entire league.
But if you think about it, okay, so out of his 4 seasons between 2019 and last year, first year, only 8 games.
Okay.
Second year, only 13. Third year, only 14. And last year, only 9. He hasn't even played a full season.
That's a good point, which is why I think you keep him around.
And 22 is the only good year that he had 1,000 yards and 10 rushing touchdowns.
But without playing a full season, he was able to get
that. Without playing a full season.
Which, again, that's where you get the skill factor coming in, which is where I think if you're Calgary, give him at least another year. You got to, because at the end of the day, they're as much as there's going to be people saying, oh, he's injury prone, how are you going to say this, blah, 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 blah. It's like, but they know they have gold. They just need to know how to keep it. They do. They know how to keep, they just need to learn how to keep this guy healthy. I don't know, maybe he's got to start doing yoga. I don't know. You got to figure it out. Dedrick Mills, you keep. Logan, you can drop Logan. And again, not because he's bad, he's just not as good as the other two. So when we're talking about the stamps, okay, and now one thing they need to do though, and this is another thing to keep in mind, is we need to see, so who do they have as their offensive coordinator? The reason why I'm asking,
I don't think that's
for the
been
love
announced
of God, run
yet.
the ball. Run the ball. Like, That's a serious problem I
Oh,
had with the Stamps as a play
so
calling.
this isn't set in stone yet. But his name is Pat Della Monaco.
So is this a new guy or
No, he's been with them for 10 years.
yeah? Whoever this guy is, he's got to start running the ball because seriously, he tried throwing it and was he leading the league in passing yards? Yeah, he was also leading in interceptions. It's one of those things where if you're giving up so many interceptions every game, you are not going to win. The team who turns over the ball more is probably losing. Probably. And the thing is that Calgary is a team that actually has potential, but they're so self-destructive. So self-destructive. They'll go out, they'll come out flying. They will. But then they'll go on their second drive and they'll throw a pick on like the second throw. And then it all crumbles. And so and the thing is that it's not like yeah, like obviously the other teams they're playing against will have good plays here and there, but they're so self-destructive. They're shooting themselves in the foot all the time, and it's one of those things where they're a team that actually would have some potential if they're able to stop turning the ball over. And so they have to have a running game that they're able to feel safe and consistent with in some regard. The defense for the Stamps was pretty decent. I think if you're Calgary, do you have to splash into the free agent? Absolutely. You have to splash in the free agent pool. They didn't do it last year. They have to do
For
it this
what?
year. For something. Like it's one of
Oh,
those things where if I'm Calgary, is there a particular piece of the team that's like so dead and buried that you need to fix it? Not necessarily. However, I think just trying to get a good guy on offense, good guy on defense, just get some stuff to just boost your team up in whatever you perceive that weak spot to be because there's
so,
not a clear identifiable. The thing is that with Calgary, there's not like this is great, this is shit. There's just a lot of good,
so
decent, not
here's
bad.
here's the thing that I will bring up,
Get yourself a
and
superstar.
here's a big question mark. Is so they have Bangleton.
Yep.
They have I don't know if Michelle they resigned. They have Dukes. They have Henry.
I think
They
going, I think
hold
going
on,
for a receiver is a good choice.
but here's the thing. Then they have Barnes and Tucker. But there's a mystery person that that no one has seen play. Do you know who it is?
So,
The Philpott twin brother who never played last year, and you don't know what you're going to get out of him. And could you imagine if he went off like his brother did in Montreal last year for Calgary next year and not get injured?
wasn't there a Philpott in Edmonton?
No, there's one in Calgary and there's one in
I
Montreal.
swear I thought there was a Philpott in Edmonton.
No.
Interesting.
Now you're making me second guess myself.
Hold on a second. I'm searching it up.
No, Jalen is in Calgary.
Okay, I see. Okay.
So he's going to be the question mark. If he can go off like his brother, then
Yep.
it's just a matter of them getting a quarterback that can pass the ball.
That's fair. It's funny. I searched up Philpott Edmonton, and it was just a bunch of highlights of Philpott getting points against the Elks. Just Tyson Philpott. Anyways, but yeah, no, that's that's good. I must have been getting them confused with someone else. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, no, that's a good point because Tyson Philpott. I mean, once he got going, he was great, and I mean now he's number one guy in Montreal.
I mean,
Since a
Calgary.
certain number one guy is not in Montreal.
The one guy that I will say that they do need besides defense is a backup quarterback.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Actually, if you're Calgary and you're looking for a backup quarterback, as much as you get to try to get a guy for short yardage, I think you also look for a guy that can actually log some minutes, which is why a guy like
So
Joe Lagala is not a bad option. Or Schiltz. Schiltz
I was
would be
so
okay with
here's
Calgary.
here's my other thing. Okay, what if you were Kyle Walters? Would you be against trading your backup quarterback to a West team if you got something decent in return?
Sure. Does anyone want him though? With all the quarterbacks available?
Yeah, but if you think about it, though,
Who's
I'm
the backup?
sure Stevens.
Okay.
Like, I'm sure Crew Cop in Winnipeg's better than Stevens.
He is.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, it's the number one thing for Calgary when it comes to backup quarterbacks is they'll need to get a guy who, as much as you want to get a guy who can do some short yardage, the number one thing with a guy like Jake Mayer and the inconsistency you can sometimes see is getting a guy who can log minutes, which is why I was saying a guy like Schiltz is decent. A guy like Dolagala is decent. You
Schultz,
could do
I
Fine, but even Fine last year really, really struggled. Fine wasn't playing so fine. You laughed at
um
that way more than you should have.
I know. Schultz, I think I could honestly see him signing for the same contract that he got last year.
In Calgary?
No matter where he goes, he'll probably get
That's
like
fair.
125,000 like
Mm,
he got last year.
that's fair.
But anyways, off to the next group. Your arch rivals,
The Melon Heads.
Saskatchewan.
The Sasky boys. Yeah, the
But
Saskatchewan
here's the big thing.
Roughriders.
The Sasky boys have the former defensive coordinator Corey Mace as the new head coach, as Craig Dickinson got kicked to the curb.
Craig Dickinson, get the fuck out of here! No, no, it's funny. I hate Saskatchewan. I hate them. I don't like them. I want them to fail. However, them getting rid of Craig Dickinson was about the best thing they goddamn could do. Seriously, he was just mind-numbingly that team was going nowhere. It was going nowhere on this guy. So got a new guy. Their former, I think he said Argos
Argos
defensive.
defensive coordinator.
Yeah, because it was down between him and what's his name, fucking Buck Pierce. And so he got the job. We kept Buck Pierce,
They're kind of
I
glad.
I'm it's funny. I'm glad, but also if we lost him, it wouldn't be the biggest deal in the world, and I'll explain why after because there's a reason to that, and it's not because I think he's shit. That's not. I do not think he's shit at all. That's not why. But we'll get to that with the Bombers. With Saskatchewan, so change of face in the coaching department, massive, massive.
Oh,
If you're
it's not
Saskatchewan,
just the coaching department.
did they get a clean slate?
Oh, they got so. Here is their coaching staff. So they have Marcel Muller, who was the offensive coordinator for Calgary. You have Edwin Harrison, who was the offensive line coach for Toronto.
Yep.
You have Josh Bell, who is the defensive back coach for Toronto. J.C. Sherritt, former CFL player. You have Philip Daniels, which is, I think, the father of the Daniels, the wide
Yep.
receiver for Toronto. Like they have overchanged. The only person that's still there,
Yep.
is I'm not sure if Marquay McDaniel was there or not. Is the special teams coordinator. Other than that whole and don't forget to add Corey Mays is the head coach or defensive coordinator.
So here's the big question: with all these new coaches, can they teach the players the rules? Do you know why I'm saying that?
Yes, I know why you're saying that. So here's a couple of things that I'm gonna mention.
I'm sorry,
So
that's too fun.
never did I ever think to see Saskatchewan fans parade around today like they won the dang lottery when Lather re-signed with the club for 3 years today. Their kicker re-signed it. Everyone's prancing.
He's a decent coach.
But you have better things out there to re-sign. Like I would have re-signed Baines Jr. Like we mentioned.
Okay.
Dolagala, Mason Fine's gone. So who are you gonna get for your backup quarterback? Hickson's re-signed. Morrow's not. So
I
who
don't
do you
think you
get?
worry that much about Fine and Dolagala leaving simply because there's so many guys on the market.
And I would say you also need a good offensive line too.
For the love of God, they need a good offensive line. They could really use a really nice offensive lineman there in Saskatchewan. Do they got MLS and Schaefer Baker signed? Do they got them locked?
Uh, they are both signed to
Good,
contracts.
because I'm gonna say honestly, if you're Saskatchewan, don't let those guys go. Those guys are great.
So here's the rumor. This is just a rumor
Yeah,
that people are saying because Corey Mace was Toronto's defensive coordinator, that you will see a lot of Toronto players, defensive players, going to Saskatchewan.
that would actually be that would be one of the best things that could happen for the Riders, honestly.
That would be one of the best things
And
that can
honestly,
happen for
that
Ticat fans.
and honestly, yeah, exactly. And honestly, it that's one. I honestly wonder if that goes into the thought process of why they pick him over Buck Pierce. As I'm going to be honest, if they take Buck Pierce, don't think it makes a ton of difference on Bombers players technically really getting pulled over there. Not because Buck Pierce isn't a draw in that regard, but it's because it's not just the love of Buck Pierce that there is in the Bombers organization. It's the organization as a whole. It's not just him. Whereas with Toronto, that organization can be a little bit of a mess at times. However, there's a lot of loyalty that they have more so to their coach than to the organization, which again is why you're saying that it's
Oh,
likely that some of those guys can get dragged over.
did you not hear the whole facts of when Corey Mace went into the actual interview? He sat down, looked at Jeremy O'Day, and said, "I want this beeping job." That actually did happen.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so I think they want to go defense, not really defensive minded, but like defense first, if that
That's a,
makes
that's
sense.
that's a smart decision. That's a smart decision because they got some good pieces offensively. They haven't always been able to use it. Offensive line has not helped. But being able to be strong defensively and not completely collapse like they did in some games, um, it is really key. Just like that was the thing. They got pushed around by a lot of other teams. So I think generally a defensive minded approach. And of course, it's going to be a defensive minded team. When you have a defensive coordinator that becomes a head coach, he's thinking like he thinks defense first. Of course, he does. That's the kind of coach he is. And so I think if you're Saskatchewan, let him roll with it. See how it pays off. Either it goes great or it goes straight to shit. It can go either direction.
So here's the thing. Outside of Hamilton, Ottawa, and Montreal, every team in the league needs a backup.
Hamilton, Montreal, or what?
And Ottawa.
So who does Hamilton have? Because they're losing Schultz.
We have Powell.
Oh yeah, you guys still do have Taylor Powell.
Montreal has Caleb Evans and Cody Fajardo. And then Crum, I say, well, we'll get to Ottawa down the road, but yeah, I have an
Ottawa
interesting
has
thing.
a whole quarterback situation.
Not it's not as bad as it's not as crowded as you think it is.
Well, I'm sure there's some guys that are that were there that where their contracts are expiring, so it's not as bad in that regard.
No.
Is there anything else we have to say about the Sasky boys?
Not the Sasky
Is
boys.
it time for your Winnipeg Blue Bombers? It's time for your Winnipeg Blue Bombers. For the love of God, please sign Brady Oliveira. Please, please. He saves puppies. We love him. We need to get Brady back. I hear he's asking for 400,000.
Shut up.
No, or again, I've heard. I am not confirming. I'm not confirming. Settle down. Calm.
I was gonna say
deep breaths.
I would say at least 300,000.
I wouldn't say at least 300,000. He's a running back. I'd say between 2 and 300. I'd say you can.
I mean, 230 is at least the starting point.
I think you go high 200s. High 200s. I think you. And the thing is that if you're signing Brady, minimum 2 years. I want, but now in a perfect world, I would say 4-year deal. That's what I want, baby. Lock him up. Lock him up long term. Seriously. Don't play this whole effing fiasco year after year after year.
So,
Don't do that.
here's the thing. He's trying to. No. I'm just thinking. Is that what's taken them long? So because O'Shea or Walter, no, sorry, it's Walters that said that him and Schoen are holding everything up from everyone else being re-signed. So it's like, what's the holdup? Like, are they like trying to go for like NFL contracts? Like, am I missing something here?
So here's what I think. I think there's a lot of guys that have signed contracts but not signed contracts in the sense of the team and the player agree on the amount. And so then the team is going to Schoen and they're going to Oliveira, with Oliveira being a slight priority to Schoen and saying, this is how much space we have. We want to fit you both. Let's work. And then if they get close enough, the team might then go to one of their other guys and be like, all right, can we chop a little bit here, a little bit here, and try to fit both guys in? And so I'm sure that the Bombers have a lot of guys signed but not signed in the sense of where they've essentially agreed on the money. They just haven't signed it yet because they still need to get that confirmation from Oliveira that they can do it. Because at the end of the day, if they're going to have to chop off a head to keep Oliveira, they kind of will. And that's
And
the
you know
thing.
that's going to be shown.
Well, the thing is that it could very easily be shown. Now, it also could be someone else in order to keep Schoen and Oliveira. So the thing is that, but the thing is that with Schoen, as each day goes by, it seems less and less likely that he resigns. Oliveira
Yes.
is going to be a Bomber. He will be. It's just the Bombers, like, they are not going to let a Winnipeg born talent who's a superstar fall through their fingers. Not again. It's not happening. And so the Bombers, if they have to throw the book at them in terms of money and throw the checkbook, they will. But the thing is that they're gonna hold out as long as they can, because at the end of the day, are we getting closer to free agency? Yeah, we're getting closer to it, but we're still not there yet. They still got time. They're gonna delay this. They're gonna try to hold out as long as they can to get Oliveira on the most team friendly contract they possibly can. Again, it's not going to be a team friendly deal, but the most team friendly it can possibly be. With Schoen, I've accepted the fact that he's probably not going to be here, which sucks because Schoen is great. However, I will remind everyone that Kenny Lawler and Rasheed Bailey were great before Schoen was around. It's not saying that losing. I'm not saying that losing Schoen is a small thing. He is a big player. Seriously, he is a big name guy, and it's not a guy you ideally want to lose. However, it's one of those things where I'm not. I don't think the receive. Now, are we still saying best receiving core in the league? Probably not. However, it's still a top tier receiving core even without Schoen. Because if we're looking at a receiving core where we're talking about guys like Kenny Lawler, where we're talking about guys like Drew Wolatarski, if we're talking about guys like Rasheed Bailey in
Grant
that group, and O'Leary Orange, who's being shown to be, a competent guy when he's been up,
and
has been,
Grant.
and Grant, obviously. See, when I hear Grant, I think more returner, but that's true. He does. And Dembski, fucking Nick Dembski, holy shit.
Okay, so
Nick
I'm gonna
Dembski,
play.
master of the jet sweep.
I'm gonna play a little devil's advocate for you.
Oh, I'm sure you will.
Okay, if you are Schoen's agent, okay. So you seen my message about this the other day when I messaged you about this. Okay, he doesn't go to BC because BC's already filled with receivers.
No room.
Calgary's already filled with receivers. Mine, they could use them, but they probably don't have the cap. Edmonton already has Gino and Gittins. They're not going to sign because then that's almost like $250,000.
Are you leading me through this wandering road just to say
I'm just
Dalton Schoen is a red black?
no. No. God, Dalton. I can't see Dalton Schoen going to Ottawa.
Well, there is
I
one.
can.
There is one reason. So, do you know about the situation with him and Drew Brown?
Yes,
Boys are good friends.
but also money also talks.
I know. Well, here's the thing. Ottawa does have cap. We can maybe if Dalton Schoen goes there, maybe Jalen Acklin decides that playing football is a good idea again.
Because you still have, if White and Godwin if one of those two leave Hamilton, then there's space there to be a top 2 receiver. Mack left Montreal, so there's him and Julian
Yeah.
Grant.
He's on the Atlanta Falcons.
There's no number 1 quarter or wide receiver in Toronto. I'm just saying, if he doesn't resign in Winnipeg, he's going east.
That's fair. I can see that. Yeah, and then I guess something I will cover before we move on from Winnipeg is we talked about Buck Pierce, and I said that if we lost him, sucks, but not the biggest deal in the world. But we kept him, and I am happy we kept him. So first things first. With Buck Pierce, 2 Grey Cups, 4 straight Grey Cup finals appearances. Not bad. However, with the Bombers team, with the way they've played, with the guys they have, would it be the worst thing in the world if the offensive play calling was a little different? Probably
Okay,
not.
so now here's
Because
my question.
I love Buck Pierce. However, sometimes he's the most predictive. Like, sometimes that motherfucker's got vanilla ass offense. Sometimes. Like it's one of those things where I'm gonna give you a lesson, okay? A lesson in Buck Pierce, okay? In Buck Pierce.
In Buck Pierce world.
It's 1st and 10. What do? You run. Okay. You run. You're on 2nd down. If it's 5 yards or less, run again. If it's more than 5 yards, throw. And occasionally, about about maybe twice a game, jet sweep on 1st or 2nd down. Sometimes, just with no warning. Sometimes on 1st down, goddammit. Sometimes we'll see it. Sometimes we'll be 2nd and 3rd. We gotta pull out that jet sweep, baby. Dembski, get the fuck over there. You know? And so that is Buck Pierce play calling in a nutshell. And the thing is that makes him successful in the regular season is because occasionally he gets bold. And he'll be like, all right, Schoen, go. And he sends them. Caleros, ding. 40, 50-yard pass. Dalton Schoen, touchdown. Kenny Lawler, whatever. Rasheed Bailey, whatever. Dembski, whatever. Whoever he decides to do that to. However, playoff Buck Pierce gets scared. And he doesn't do the deep ball. He plays conservatively, which is okay, but you're handicapping yourself. When you have Dalton Schoen, who you can do the big ball with, who you can do the deep ball with, and you're going into playoffs, can you risk an interception? Yes. However, you got Zach Caleros and Dalton Schoen. You should be able to make it bloody work. You should. You can't handicap yourself in the playoffs just because you're scared. And that's something I have seen. So, he's staying around. I'm glad he's staying around because he's a good offensive coordinator. However, I hope we get that situation figured out.
So, 2 things. 1, when you're at the stadium and you see subs come in, subs come out, do you know what play they're going to run?
Sometimes, yeah.
That reminds me of another person.
Because if I see Liam Dobson going in, it's like, all right, Liam Dobson is the lead blocker. We're doing a running play on this one.
That's the funny thing, because when the fullback and wide receiver would go in, I knew from my spot that they were running. When they would come out and 2 wide receivers would go in, you knew it was a pass in Hamilton. That's how much you knew our playbook. Yeah,
no. That's Buck Pierce he's a good offensive coordinator. He is predictable, though. He is. And that's where I get a little bit worried as a Bomber fan, is that maybe we're becoming a bit too predictable for teams. Teams are figuring us out.
I mean, that was the same thing with our corner routes and our...
Yeah. And that's where it's one of those things. Do I think it's like we're screwed if we don't change it? No. It's just one of those things. I'm curious to see how a Bomber team would do with their current roster under different direction.
How long has Buck Pierce been your guys' OC?
He's been there for a while.
Is he smart enough to change things up?
I hope so.
No. I'm just saying, over the years, has he changed things?
A few. He's
Or
added a
is
few.
he been like the...
See, he's added a few things here and there. He has. But then sometimes he goes back to old reliable. And again, it has been reliable. Fair enough. My problem isn't really with regular season Buck Pierce, it's playoff Buck Pierce. I just want him to try. The problem I sometimes feel with Buck Pierce is it sometimes seems like when we get to the playoffs, it's like he gets so
Hold on, I
zoned
gotta grab
into
something
it.
for next team. Hold on. You just keep on talking. I'll be back in 1
He
second.
gets so zoned in to that. Rick laughed. God damn it! That playoffs is playoffs, and that and so instead of being able to just play the way that he does in the regular season, he feels the need to play slightly differently for playoffs. Like, we have to be more careful this time. We gotta play more conservative because the stakes are so high. But it's one of those things where it's like you were like 10-3 or whatever the hell it was in the season. I can't remember how many fucking games, whatever. We had an awesome record in the season, and now you're not playing the way that got you that record in the playoffs? Really? But again, I'm not going to go on too big of a tangent because it's not like I don't like the Buck Pierce. He is good. He absolutely is good. I'm curious to see. But I think that's pretty much all we have for Winnipeg, right? Oh my god. Oh my
It's going to
god.
be the first time since 2018.
It's time. Wait, hold on a second. It's time for the Hamilton Tigers.
So, first time since 2018 that Tommy Condell's playbook is nowhere near our
Scott
team.
Milanovich, what do you got?
And not only Scott Milanovich.
You guys are so lucky you kept on to him. I thought he was going to. I thought Saskatchewan was going to go after Milanovich.
But we also ended up with Ed Harvey as our GM. Coach O is now president. And we don't have the four-headed monster assistant GMs anymore. The one thing that drives me nuts the most about this team is they have almost spent $1 million on re-signing their offensive line, but yet they haven't re-signed any of the key pieces.
Nice. It's funny. I'm sitting here thinking Scott Milanovich in his first like game under his own playbook, and he's gonna be like, coin toss. I don't know what the fuck that is. I know the scramble.
Mine's
the two safeties running for the football and like tearing their quads like Triple H. Yeah.
So here's the thing. So I remember, now this is really showing my age. I remember when he brought back Calvillo's career
if you can
in Montreal.
Okay, hold on a second. I'm going to stop you right there, Rick. If anyone can hear screaming, it is Zach screaming because... Oh, shit. Okay, so the Boston Bruins are beating the Winnipeg Jets, and with the empty net goal against the Winnipeg Jets, that will be the first time a team has gotten 4 goals against
in Winnipeg
the Winnipeg Jets
history. In Winnipeg history,
November 2nd. Every single game, no team has gotten 4. But yeah, no. So just a fun fact.
I can just shed it. I can just see a tear shedding from your eye.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's fine.
But yeah,
we're only first in the NHL. Anyways,
but I mean, and we're gonna have a new special teams coordinator because Ryan Bolt has left.
And how do you feel about that?
I mean, it kind of sucks, but it is what it is. It's, as Coach O would always say, next man up.
We'll have to ask
just
Gord.
As long.
Gord, how's this new guy?
Just as long as it's not Craig Butler, for the love of God. Craig.
Not.
Yeah. So. I'm starting to get nervous because the only players that we have re-signed is Katratonis, a fullback, and our whole offensive lineman, except for 3 offensive linemen. That's it.
Yeah, if I'm Hamilton, there's a few things I'm gonna try.
And one other thing that I will say, Ed Harvey has gone on record that Duke Williams and Chris Edwards are not going to be back. He's not putting up with no one's shenanigans.
Interesting. And you're a fan of that?
I am a fan of that.
That's good.
Mind, I do see Matt Schiltz moving on.
Yeah, Matt Schiltz will move on. He'll get an opportunity
Because
somewhere else.
I do not think that with Powell being on a rookie contract, you get rid of Matt Schiltz's $125,000 that they're paying him last year, rumors, and use that $125,000 and build on our secondary, because our secondary was atrocious last year. And then just bring in some rookie from down south to be our third string short yardage quarterback.
Yeah, I think I think, or actually, another option you could do for a third string is if you're able to get a guy like Terrell Pigram from the Red Blacks. That's a guy you could get cheap. Pigram is a guy you could most likely get cheap because he went to the Red Blacks, and the Red Blacks used him a little bit, not a ton. Drew Brown goes there. Now Mazzoli, we're hearing is going back. Crum is still there. If you're the
Keep in mind,
Ticats, maybe go after a guy like Terrell Pigram. You can get him on a cheap deal.
he's not a free agent.
He's not? Okay, never mind. Sorry. Sorry. It seemed like everyone was a free agent, so it was a fair thing to say.
So here's the thing. So you have McGriff, who, my guy, if this guy did not get injured in a non-football accident last year, this guy's like 6'6" wide receiver. And if you need someone to go up and get the damn ball in the end zone, he's going to be the guy.
Yep. Yeah. Here, keep talking for a second, Rick. I gotta.
Okay. But yeah, so if I'm Ticats, the first thing that I would do was throw the money truck at Tim White.
I see.
Because I mean, let me go to his numbers. So he's been with the league 3 years. His sophomore year last year, he had 1,265 yards, 8 touchdowns.
Yep.
In 17 games. This year, he had 17 games, 1,269 yards, and 8 touchdowns. You know what? I'm okay to throw the brink truck at him.
Okay.
Because he's worth it. He's like one of those like Brady Oliveira, like shown, but like wide receiver type money. Like if they said, okay, we're going to give him like 240, I would be okay with that. If it's more, at least it has to be more than 1 year.
You'll be okay for 240 for who? Sorry?
Yeah. Tim White.
Oh, Tim White. Okay, sorry. I was trying to remember just because I heard my brother screaming.
Oh. But yeah, no, if it's Tim White's one of those like generation players, like you cannot not afford to pay him money.
So here's the question. When it comes to the Ticats making a splash in free agency, what positions do you see them trying to improve? Do you see them trying? Because the thing is that you mentioned the offensive line, but then you also said that they signed a lot of those guys already.
Yeah, so the whole offensive line, except for 3 people, are back. The other 3 are going to free agency.
The whole offensive line, there's 5 guys.
No.
On their line.
So they've re-signed.
Unless you're talking about backups too.
No. Like I'm sure they'll go sign backups. I'm just saying Renenberg's back, Woodmansy's back, Jordan Murray's back, Kemp's back. There's a few like Black's a rookie, he's back, and then there's another one that's back. The thing that I want to see us improve on is our secondary. If our secondary does not get, and depending on who in Hamilton that you're going to talk to about this is going to be a very touchy subject for most Hamiltonians. But I'm going to discuss the big elephant in the room, Mr. 21, Simone Lawrence. The only way I resign him is if he takes a hometown discount. And I'm saying like bare minimum, I'm talking like 110 if that. If not, I'm sorry. Moving on.
Interesting. How much are they paying him though? That's the thing right now.
I looked at Three Down Nation's numbers. You're looking at like 140, 160, maybe like 150.
So he's making good money. So a lot of cap that you think you'd definitely be able to use somewhere else.
Yeah. Um. So for me, Van Zyle's gonna retire. Like, there's no like way they're bringing him
I
back.
don't. Well, did he even play last year? I don't even think he played last year.
One or two games.
He did.
Ted
I didn't even.
Laurent. Ted Laurent will retire,
Okay.
and Jagger Davis. That guy is. I'm sorry if there's any people that are Jagger Davis fans out there. But when he comes out for warm-ups, he comes out like by himself while everyone's already doing warm-ups. I'm sorry, I find him that he's lazy,
Oh.
but that's just me. Um, unless Adeleke plays half corner,
Yep.
he's not playing safety because Kachitonis has that down pat. So they move on from Adeleke if he's not going to play defensive back. Legio's still on sign, but they have Burnham from BC as the kicker.
Yeah, that's true.
Loxley's already said that he's going free agent or UFL down in the States. And you know what? Outside of maybe White, Godwin, Vedvik, our kicker or a punter,
Mhm.
Thurman. I'm just going through the list here. Like I said, if Simone Lawrence takes a pay cut, I would resign him. Godwin and Jamal Davis that came over from Montreal, and then Malik Carney and Mason Bennett. Those are the only ones I would sign. Everyone else that's on our free agent list are all backups and special teams players.
Hmm.
Like, there's really not that many that scream like, besides Tim White and Godwin. But I mean, other than that,
Like
Keandre
like any
Smith
others
sets
that
up.
scream like must sign.
Yeah, like there's a couple on defense, but I mean, offense wise, it's only Tim White and Godwin on offense.
I see. I
I would
see.
I would even let Sean Thomas Ellington go because that guy, yeah, he's Canadian, but him and Ternowski are both injury prone players.
That's fair. That's fair.
And Matt, like I said, Matt Schultz is 125,000 contract. I could use that and upgrade it somewhere else because we have Powell on a rookie contract,
That's
and then
true.
you go sign some like Jamie Newman or someone else from down south that wants $75,000 rookie contract.
And that's the thing. There's a lot of those kinds of guys available.
I'm just
So
curious to see where your boy Mark Legio is going to end up.
my boy,
Yeah, your Winnipeg boy.
my boy is a stretch. Is a
But
stretch.
I mean, other
My
than
boy. Apparently, I did a lot of shit talking of my boy. Then.
other than that, I'm curious to see who we're going to bring in. The one guy. Oh, and one thing I
Oh.
will mention:
Oh.
Tariq McAllister has left our team and has signed a reserve contract with the LA Raiders, and that's not a guaranteed contract either. So,
L.A. Raiders.
yeah, the Las Vegas Raiders in the NFL.
You said L.A.
Oh, yeah, Las. Oh, okay. So
L.V.
LV, whatever you
I
want
was
to call
I
it.
was about to say, is there a third team in L.A. now? Like,
But I mean, even then, like, okay, there was a player. I'm trying to think of what his name was. Like, I've heard nothing but great things about him the other day that they just brought up.
yep.
He's some guy from the States. Cameron Batson.
I think I've heard that
Played.
name before.
He's 28. Played 27 games over 3 seasons with the Titans.
Oh yeah,
Apparently, he's a speedster.
that's always
And you know
good.
what? Sometimes those people that come up from the NFL, some of them do well, some of them don't. I'm hoping that, I mean, yeah, he is 28, but hopefully he's one of those players.
That's fair. That's fair. So here's a question: is there anything else Tycat related to talk about? I've let you just roll with this. I hope you know
No,
that.
I
I
oh,
know.
The only thing that I will say, for the
Oh.
love of God, the upper people of Ticats, please, I don't want to swear on this video, but can we please, for the love of God, announce the coaching staff already, please? Because we want to know who our coaches are going to be for next year. And stop freaking dragging it on.
All right. Well spoken there, Mr. Rick. All right.
Well
So where are we
spoken.
going next? Are we going Toronto?
We will go Toronto because they're in the same province.
All right. So the Toronto Argonauts. Where do we begin here? I think the first thing we need to do, and this is something I certainly will have a lot of fun doing, something you will certainly have a lot of fun doing, is taking a look at last season and how it ended and how it went out in glorious fucking fashion and throwing so many. I'm sorry. I love to rub it in, but it's one of those things. Did you guys beat us in the Grey Cup one year? Yes, you did. It is what it is. So.
Carter just likes to rub it in.
No. I'm not rubbing what in. I'm saying that we lost to them.
No. That they lost to Montreal and like you're over it.
No. They didn't just lose to Montreal. They literally threw the game away. quite literally. Also known as here you go. Here you go. Here you go. Wait, one more. There was 4 of them. Here you go.
So, and congrats to a former Winnipeg Tonian, Andrew Harris, on his new coaching career.
Winnipeg Tonian?
Yeah, isn't he from Winnipeg?
Winnipegger!
Okay, sorry.
Winnipeg Tonian. Where the fuck you getting Tony from?
I don't know.
It's Tony time, bitches. That's a segment we have whenever Tony Nato plays in the Jets games. We have this clip of Tony Ferguson from the UFC, and then just a photo of Dominic Tony Nato on the front. It's Tony time, bitches.
So, depending on who you talk to from Toronto, some of them are nervous that AJ Ouellette will not be back.
Oh, is he not?
He hasn't re-signed yet.
Okay, well, no one's re-signed, so that doesn't really mean much.
No, but I mean, there's some people that are nervous that he may go elsewhere.
You know what would be terrifying? Imagine this. Calgary goes for AJ Ouellette, drops Kadeem Carey, and has Ouellette and Mills.
I mean,
that would be something. That would be bold. That would be so bold.
And question, I don't know if you've ever seen this. Have you ever seen a player play his rookie year in the CFL and then declare to enter the NFL draft?
Don't think so.
Quinton Stiggers. Or Quinton. I probably just butchered his name. Sorry, Argo fans. But he just declared his entry to the upcoming NFL draft after playing in the CFL this year.
Interesting. Never seen that. Not in that regard. Not like, I mean, obviously I've seen the guys go from the CFL to the NFL, but not quite like that. And then again, just saying that I'm entering into the draft doesn't mean you're getting drafted.
I mean, with how well he's done this year in a pro league.
Oh, he certainly can. I'm just saying there's no guarantees. It'd just be really funny. I'm entering the draft. Doesn't get drafted.
So here's my thing: is with Gittins Jr. gone.
Yep.
Coxey's not re-signed.
Toronto, I think, is going to make a splash for at least one receiver. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if Toronto goes after Dalton Jones. If they can.
Keyword is if. Do not forget that Chad Kelly's coming off his rookie contract and is now getting paid $500,000. So don't forget that's going up in the cap.
Yeah.
So
that's for 2 years, right? It's a 2-year deal of $500,000. Pretty sure it's a 2-year
I will pull that up.
I don't think it's a 1-year deal, that's for sure.
3-year.
3 years.
He is
interesting.
So
I love how we're an
1.865.
hour and 15 minutes in and we still got a lot to go. So if anyone's still sticking around, thank you for sticking around. Welcome to CFL Central. Make sure you guys leave a like, share, and subscribe
So
if you haven't already. There's
if
probably
you
only 10 of you at
don't,
this point, but we'll see.
if you do not include, like, I don't, let's just say that's not including bonuses and things like that. He is getting paid $621,000 a year to throw a ball. And he has an out clause should he get an NFL offer. Mind, he is 29. So I can't. Yeah, he's good, but even like McLeod Bethel Thomas even said himself this offseason, NFL teams are more going for like the younger players, like the younger quarterbacks, than they are the older ones.
I see. So I have a question.
Okay.
You're the Toronto Argonauts.
Yes.
You're looking at your roster.
Yes.
Let's say you re-sign some of your key pieces, okay?
Yes.
You make a splash in the free agent market. Who are you going for? I think you go for Schoen if he's available. I think you do. If we're excluding Schoen, let's say Schoen does re-sign with Winnipeg. Who do you go
Okay.
for? I think you go for a big name receiver. If you're paying your quarterback $500,000, you want to surround him with some guys to throw to.
Okay, so let me just take a quick. I mean, there's no one from Edmonton or Ottawa that jumps out. Okay, are you talking like veteran or are you talking like big name person?
Either.
I mean,
If you really want to, you can give an answer for each.
if I'm talking depth receiver, maybe wouldn't take a chance. Wouldn't mind taking a chance on Ellingson. If you're talking like depth,
keep him healthy, but yeah.
I'm just looking at their receiver, like the receivers that are out there. There's not. I mean, if I'm Toronto, I'm honestly looking at what Winnipeg does.
That's fair.
If you want my honest opinion, because if you look at the wide receivers, there's not that many outside of a few of those big name receivers. If I don't get one of the Winnipeg receivers that's not shown, then I go for Whitehead.
Whitehead in Toronto is a weird thought.
But I mean, with Toronto, for some reason, it's like Toronto doesn't need that one wide receiver. Like they have Cam Phillips. They have
I'm just saying if you're
Tommy
paying a guy
Niels.
$500,000, it's certainly something that makes sense. I'm saying it's a logical move. I'm not saying it's a move.
Yeah, but so here's the thing though that I've noticed between him and McLeod Bethel Thomas is
Thompson?
Chad Kelly. Yeah, Thompson likes to have one or two receivers and then the odd time throw to like one of the other ones. Chad Kelly likes to move the ball around to like multiple receivers, not just one. So that's why kind of like Toronto doesn't need that one receiver. Like they have Coxey, they have Phillips, they have like Getting Jr. didn't even play that much. Like you didn't even really notice him on the team.
So would you think it would be entirely possible? Would you then what about a guy like Dunbar? Like Stephen Dunbar?
I mean,
I could see it fits that description though.
But only if the money's right, because I mean he just got paid $200,000 and they barely used him in Edmonton.
Exactly, which is why I'm saying is that I think Dunbar goes for under 200,000. And with all the other receivers on the market, with Schoen possibly going to be there, with those two that have re-signed with BC already. With Dominic Rhymes not even getting 200,000, I don't think Dunbar makes 200K, and so I think Toronto might try to see if they can get Dunbar on a somewhat affordable deal. I think it fits the description of like
So
when you tell me that Chad
yeah,
Kelly is not someone who's necessarily going to be thrown to the $300,000 receiver and is rather going to be thrown to four different guys that are all making 150. Dunbar to me fits that description of a
so
guy that could be in the mix and do decent. Because in Edmonton he was in the mix, but then he hardly even got any throws regardless. With Chad
so,
Kelly, you know he'll be getting more throws.
so here's my thing is if they resign Coxey and Phillips
Yep,
outside of AJ Ouellette, and once they resign Javon Leake and Adam Naboye, their offense, like their receivers, they don't really need those big name receivers. I would be more worried about the defense
that's
and what
fair.
players are not going to be back than because if you look at a lot of their games, their defense is what. Don't get me wrong. Okay, Chad Kelly did do a lot, but their defense
If
is
you're
what
looking at their
won.
losses in the regular season, it was the defense that lost those games.
No, there is a lot of games that where it's like they were under, like that they didn't win or lose by many points. It was like by
Oh,
like
I
10
know.
points,
But I'm saying the games
6.
that they lost in the regular season, they didn't lose it on offense. They lost it on
Oh,
defense.
yeah. It's just
Like
I
that game
just
against that first
have
one against Calgary, they lost that on defense.
mhm. And don't forget Boris Beatty has
Yes.
not been re-signed by Toronto yet either.
Does Toronto go for Mark Lake? God, that would be funny. That'd be
I'm
so
Bor-
funny.
I'm, I'm Boris Beatty goes to Hamilton.
I don't know if you want that. Um,
All Toronto fans would be mad because they'd be wearing Boris Beatty jersey, and he gets that.
really? How many?
Oh, I know people that have a
Really?
Boris Beatty jersey, and I would
Bold,
just get one.
bold choice, Mister Uprights.
I would get one just out of despite of the
I
Argo
still
fans and
have
just
that
get a Boris
shot
Beatty
of.
Ticats jersey.
I still have that shot of him like hitting the uprights and just going like just staring at the uprights with like fuck like
So here's the thing: since he did play in Winnipeg, he played in Montreal, he did play in Toronto. I don't think he just let me
who
pull. Hold on,
who
I gotta pull up the numbers because I gotta find out how many games he actually played because I didn't see him play much last year.
who
Muwamba, do you think he finally calls it a career?
possibly. I have a question. Is there anything else we have on Toronto? Oh, we're going over an hour and a half, Rick.
Oh well, so what?
Oh no, I don't have a problem with it. I'm just like, man, we got a long one today.
We only have two. We only have two more teams to go.
That's true. That's true. And then we have our nice outro. We got
Okay,
sidetracked a few times, of course. Only about
so
5 or 6
now
times.
we got the defending outstanding.
Oh, are we going Montreal first or are we going Ottawa first?
Actually, you know what? Let's go Ottawa
I was
because
gonna say I think
Montreal.
we go Ottawa first because I think
Oh yeah, it's in Ontario. Never mind. Yeah, okay.
because
Never
Ottawa's
mind.
yeah, it's Ontario still.
Okay,
Okay. The Ottawa Red Blacks.
have
The
a new
Ottawa Red
offensive
Blacks
coordinator.
are always the Ottawa Red Blacks do this weird thing where they'll sign some big name players, and then those big name players will be on the team, but they won't play like big name players.
Um,
And it'll look like the team has a lot of promise, and then they'll just sink to the bottom of the East again. So the
had
thing is that do the Ottawa Red Blacks finally, for the love of God, get themselves through that? They got Kale. They got a Kale. They got Kalen. They got Jalen Acklin. They got Kalen Addison, or not Kalen Addison. Kalen Addison's the defenseman from Minnesota Wild. Sorry. I get so. Oh my God. Ugh.
Justin Hardy.
They got Braylon Addison,
Yes.
Jalen Acklin,
Yes.
There's such similar names. It fucks with me. Dominic Rhymes. And then who else do they got in the receiving core? Because you got
right
Jeremiah
there.
Mazzoli. If you're able to keep him healthy, it'd be nice if you can keep him healthy for more than half a quarter. That'd be kind of nice.
Right there, we already have AA. Ackland and Addison, AA.
Yep. And then you know who else you got? You got the Drew Brown train, baby. It's Drew Brown train time.
So, okay,
I hope Drew Brown does well in Ottawa. I hope the best for him. I love me some Drew Brown.
Okay, so speaking of quarterbacks, you have Crum.
Yep.
Adams.
Mm-hmm.
Mazzoli.
Adams.
And Brown.
Adams.
So Mazzoli went down last year. Adams was the backup quarterback. Adams went down.
Who Adams? What's his first name?
Give me 1 second and I can pull it up.
Why am I forgetting about this guy?
Because Adams didn't really play much last year.
Okay, that's probably why. So if Drew Brown gets the job.
Tyree Adams.
Yeah, I forgot about him. Drew Brown gets the job over Crum. Mazzoli comes back, becomes the number one.
But I don't know if he's been cleared to play or not.
But there's also that. There's also the possibility of we don't know when he's back, so Drew Brown's not going to be getting starting money. He's not going to be getting backup money. He's going to get something in between. I would say is most likely.
Wasn't he
and
already?
Also, good trade for the Bombers, getting a 5th round pick for him, because Bombers, you were losing him either way. So getting a 5th round pick for him, you got something. So good trade for Winnipeg, and a good deal for Ottawa too, because it means that there's a few teams that probably were looking at taking a crack at Drew Brown, and Ottawa, a team that desperately needs a guy like Drew Brown, really made sure that they put themselves in that situation to get him.
So here's the thing with me is Mazzoli has not played a full season since 2018.
Yikes.
19 he played 6 games. 21 he played 12.
Man,
22 he played 4.
Those 4 games in 2022 were so good though. They were so good. Jeremiah Mazzoli looked like a top 3 quarterback in the league in that year. And it's one of those things that it's an absolute tragedy what is happening to Jeremiah Mazzoli with just injuries and with the situation with, what's that bastard's name? The guy who played on Saskatchewan who took him out right in the knees. You know the guy I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He got like exiled from the CFL.
Hold on, I gotta think of the name.
Who was it? Who was it?
Marino.
Garrett Marino. Yes, that's right. Get the hell out of here, Marino. We don't want you.
AKA rhymes with Dan Marino.
It doesn't rhyme. It's just the same fucking name. That's like saying boat rhymes with boat. Like,
but anyways, so then he only threw. He went.
That doesn't make fucking sense.
He went 6 for 10. Last year, he went 6 for 10 for 37 yards and 1 touchdown in 1 game. So, I mean, unless he is 100% healthy, I don't see him playing or as starter.
Oh, yeah?
But that's just me.
That's fair. It's funny. It glitched out there for a second. I was like, no. We're like an hour and a half in. Don't screw up now. But like, you're all good now. At least it should be now. But like,
so the downside is,
yep,
is Devontae Williams. I think that was the big. Was that not the big running back that they had last year? That like came out of nowhere.
Devontae Williams might have been. trying to remember because I don't watch a ton of East just because I'm out in the West, so it's typically more what I'm watching.
That's why I'm a nerd. Because I
Exactly.
watch every game, doesn't matter who's playing. Yes,
That's true.
Javonte Williams, who was their 1,000-yard running back, has still not been signed.
Oh yeah.
You know what though? I hate to say this to Red Black fans. Outside of Malden on defense,
Yep.
Ottawa is where your career goes to die.
I mean, look at how much a guy like Jalen Acklin fell off. Seriously, he seemed like the next
That's what I
star
mean.
receiver,
And I mean,
and he went to
look
Ottawa.
at
He had like that one game against Hamilton where I was at that game. We were both at that game. That was actually our first time meeting in person. Was at that game
at the
at
yeah in Hamilton,
the
yeah,
at the Red Blacks Ticats game, and I just remember Jalen Ackley gets the first touchdown, goes right in front of the Ticats sidelines, and just like
and flips him the bird.
and does the big flyby with a fuck are you know, going by, and his career has just it fell off a cliff. Seriously, it was one of those things where if he stayed in Hamilton, we might be talking about a guy he'd be paying 250,000.
Breaking news! Breaking
Oh,
news! Breaking
whoa,
news!
whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, we just got news. That's right. As of literally right now, I see it. Stephen
Steven
Dunbar
Dunbar.
Jr. signs in the UFL following his release from the Edmonton Elks. Now the question is, where in the UFL does he sign?
Houston Roughnecks.
He signs with the Houston Roughnecks, also known as Dunbar Jr. You are not a Toronto Argonaut.
But
Interesting.
now,
That's actually cool. We had breaking news on the recording. So, for those wondering, it is 9:08 Central Time or 10:08 Eastern Time, January 22nd when this is being recorded. This is exactly the time that deal broke. So, fun stuff.
don't get started. Wait to free agency day when I'm going to be doing my live stream, and it's going to be going
It's funny.
one after
You're
another.
like it's funny. Whenever anything happens transaction wise in the CFL, Rick sends me a text on Snapchat, and I know that day I'm just gonna be getting my phone's just gonna get blown the fuck up by Rick. This is gonna be like it's just gonna be like paragraph after paragraph after paragraph of guys signing. It's great. But no, but there's a lot to
Oh,
actually
you
you know what you'll need to do on that day, Rick, on
besides me live streaming, yes.
besides live streaming, feel free to be active on the CFL Central Twitter account.
Yes, okay. I will do
I
that.
think that would be good though. You know what I mean? Get the Twitter going. I think that's good. But anyways, Ottawa Red Blacks.
Yes.
Ottawa Red Blacks.
But anyways, like there's like is it Santos Knox? Yeah, Santos Knox. I went from Hamilton to Ottawa. He didn't have that big of a season either.
Yeah, no, he
Last
didn't.
year. Like the only one. Okay, outside of Ernest Jackson back in like the early 2016 when Ottawa Red Blacks won the Grey Cup. Other than him,
Yep.
the only player that's really had a good career out in Ottawa is Lorenzo Malden. And he hasn't been re-signed yet either. So, I mean, there's no one. I mean, Shaq Evans is a depth wide receiver. Look how well he did in Saskatchewan, and
If
he
you're
didn't
the Red
do
Blacks,
jack all.
if you're the Red Blacks, do you think you look to really develop the defensive side? Because they didn't really do much defensively.
If I'm well, you got to remember, Tommy Condell is their new offensive coordinator, and this is where I see Ottawa going. So Sean Burke, the GM's already been there for what 2-3 years. Bob Dice has been their special team coach year one, and then's been the head coach the last 2 years. If Ottawa, I would say Ottawa would have to make it past the first round of the playoffs to even consider keeping both of them?
Yeah, this Ottawa
Because
team.
as of right now, it's been a losing season for
Ottawa is so
Ottawa.
unpredictable in the sense that they have so much on paper that they do nothing with. They do nothing with it. And here's the question, Rick. Now that Tommy Candell is in the mix, do you think they now do something?
Nope.
Where's the shirt? Where's the shirt? Where's the shirt? There it is. There it is. Got to be careful. Some people might not like that.
Oh God!
The
Don't be chirping! Don't be chirping me now.
no, I'm not chirping you. But anyways, so I think that's pretty much all we got for the Red Blacks, right?
Yeah, there's nothing that screams scariness.
So we got one more, which is the defending Grey Cup champions, the Montreal Alouettes. Cue annoying as fuck air horns. I hate.
I will say. I will say though.
I hate those air horns.
It was great to have a Grey Cup without air horns.
Oh, thank God! When I heard there wasn't any air horns, I'm like, I was. You know what? We did lose. So thank God I didn't have to hear air horns after we lost.
That's the thing. So the air horns are a Tim Hortons Field thing. They're not CFL banning them. Like, you cannot have those air horns.
You're not allowed them in Winnipeg either. That's a Montreal thing. It's one of the only stadiums I'm pretty sure that allows it.
I will say
you're not allowed them in Saskatchewan. You're not allowed them in Winnipeg. You're not allowed in BC. I know that.
I will say I went to Montreal when I went to Montreal on Canada Day weekend. I tried to get one just to be annoying, and you can only get them at the stadium.
Yeah, the only ones you're allowed for the Bombers are the ones that you,
blow into, like the big long.
Some that actually require air effort, not just. You're not making noise. The machine is making noise. At least if you're blowing into it, you're blowing it. It's you, and it's just amplifying it.
So, got some questions to throw out to you.
Okay.
Stand back. Back or no? He's a free agent.
Well, he's stand back. Of course he's a back.
William Stanback will not stand. Please not stand up. Or I forget how the joke was that TSN said, like, William Stanback, please step back. Or whatever that was.
I don't fucking know.
The other thing is, what do you do without Austin Mack?
What do you do without Austin Mack? Do they try to get Dalton Schoen? Oh God, I would hate that. Dalton Schoen in an Argo or in an Alouettes jersey.
No, because I have to sit there and watch that. Okay.
Do they? I think they try to make a good punch for a receiver though to try to fill Austin Mack's shoes and get him back to where they were.
But I'm actually quite happy.
Lucky Whitehead become an Alouette?
You know what though? That would be one spot I could see him going.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I could see it. I could see it happening.
The Lemonator has extended his stay in Montreal.
Good. I say good in the sense of if you're Montreal, do that. He made a big difference.
So here's my thing is if they sign a wide receiver, but like a depth wide receiver, then it will be Philpott stepping up behind Julian Grant as the number 2. And they'll bring in like a depth, like even like kind of like a Rashid Bailey or something. You
put Philpott behind Julian Grant?
Yeah, as like the number 2.
I might actually put Philpott as your number 1.
I mean, Julian Grant was.
It's fair. It can go both ways because it's one of those things where, like, because Philpott obviously really, really stepped up in that Grey Cup game, and so sometimes you see the carryover. I call that the Chad. I call that the Chad Kelly effect.
Also, so here's my theory. I want Schoen does not go to Montreal.
Okay.
You have Sneed. Don't forget Tyler Sneed, second in receiving.
Sneed, yeah.
Philpott, Julia Grant, and Speaker. So there's your 4 receivers.
I think that actually means that Whitehead would make the most sense to be mixed in there to get your 5.
Yeah, the only teams that I really
So maybe
see
not Schoen
Schoen
then, because
going, if Schoen's gonna leave, so one of 3 teams, either Schoen's gonna re-sign in Winnipeg,
he's going to Toronto.
Hamilton, or Toronto. Those are gonna be the only 3.
God, you're not gonna shut up if he becomes a Ticat.
No, I won't, because that will be the first fucking jersey. The second that
You're gonna buy a jersey and be like, "Hey, look, it's Dalton
oh,
Schoen."
yeah, I'm gonna put this bet out there now. If Dalton Schoen signs with the Ticat, I will stop my live stream on the spot. I will live stream from my phone as I'm driving to the stadium, and I'm getting a jersey that day, right on the spot the second he signs. I don't even care what jersey. I don't even care what jersey number he is. I'll just get a name.
You'll just get like 83 where he was in Winnipeg or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, if it doesn't work out, you can just the Ticats jerseys are all heat pressed, so you can get the numbers off anyway.
Oh, yeah. You know what it's like.
Yeah, because this motherfucker sends me this jersey, and I'm like, wow, it looks great, and the 5 is like fucking falling off, and I'm just like, Tim Hortons Field, what the fuck? It's got a beautiful signature. Gordon White, thank you so much for that. You're an absolute G for doing that. However, I had my friend who family friends of ours who do they do jerseys for all of Western Canada. When it comes to the CFL, they do Bomber jerseys, they do Riders, Elks, Stamps, Lions, and they have the color for the Ticats, so he actually properly stitched it, which means that my Ticats jersey is better than the ones they sell at Tim Hortons Field.
So now that there's really like nothing really, let me look at their list, because there's one thing that I want to mention after we discuss with this team, because it's kind of going off topic.
Yep.
You know what though? Like, there's not. Sankey was re-signed. Darnell Sankey.
Yep.
Other than that,
that's a good piece.
There's really no one.
Well, they've signed most of the major pieces. Just a lot of the depth they haven't.
That's what I mean. Like, there's really no one that Montreal has
left. I think at that point it's they take a look and see if they can splash in free agency. If they don't splash back, then they go and they re-sign all their guys. They probably have tentative deals set up with some of them where they're just kind of like, okay, let's get a ballpark, know where these guys are at, see what free agency looks like, see how much cap we leave ourselves. Then afterwards, re-sign a bunch of those guys. That's probably what they're doing. It makes sense. I think that is the direction of the Montreal Alouettes. So, my question for you is,
yes,
is there more to talk about with the Alouettes?
There's not with the Alouettes, but I mentioned to you this earlier, and I'm throwing this out there.
Please, yeah.
So, me and Carter had a nice, fun little discussion on stadium names earlier today.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
So, people call Tim Hortons Field the donut box because it's Tim Hortons. Princess Auto will be the toolbox. No, and then Carter, hold on. Carter's response: we don't have Chris Jones, so we ain't the toolbox.
That's right. We're not the toolbox because the toolbox is the one where Chris Jones is. That's a great response.
It just kills me of what companies pay out the ass, pardon my French.
Oh, by the way, that deal with IG Field, I'm always going to call it IG Field the same way that I always call Canada Life Center, the MTS Center, is for 10 years. They will be on that building for the foreseeable future.
Who, Princess Auto or
Princess
IG
Auto.
Field?
They signed a 10-year agreement.
Well, I mean, it's no different than Cops Coliseum now being called First Ontario Center. It's always going to be Cops Coliseum to me.
Well, it's the same way that the Sky Dome is a Sky Dome. Nobody calls it Rogers Center.
Yeah. One thing that I will mention to you that I just seen on my notifications. Mm-hmm. I know this is kind of going out of CFL, and I mean, we've already gone off the deep end.
We're an hour and 44 in. If anyone goes all this way, they could listen to us talk about bullshit.
Yeah. Philadelphia 76ers Joel and Ginobili had scored 70 points in an NBA game tonight.
That's crazy. If only I knew something about the NBA. All I know about the NBA is that LeBron got scratched, bled a tiny amount, and TSM was like, "Oh my God, can you believe the agony he's going through?" And it's like, I saw Morgan Barron take a skate to the face, and he finished the fucking game.
Speaking of football, did anyone watch anything from the Bills last night? I don't. To see Kelsey in the stands in the box with no shirt, with his sister and Taylor Swift boxing each other,
and you see your Blue Bombers legend Zach Calero's
face in the corner.
If anybody, I think people need to get a little bit of backstory on that. Do you want to finish your point and then I can make some backstory?
So then the only thing that I got to mention is you see Mahomes run across the field to go give Kansas City fans, Chiefs, like his wristbands and like his arm. Next thing you see, Buffalo Bills fans throwing snowballs.
Okay, that's funny. Okay, so that's fine. That's snowballs. They don't hurt. They don't hurt, so that's fine.
But he's like jacking, going like this.
Oh yeah, it's still okay. Snowballs. That's funny. If they were starting to like throw like beer cans and shit, absolutely not. Because it's snowballs, and snowballs under no circumstance have ever hurt. That's fine. That was funny. So for those wondering, Zach Caleros played college football with Travis Kelce, the boyfriend of T Swifty, and Travis Kelce on numerous occasions on his podcast with Jason. Love Jason Kelce, great guy. Has praised Zach Caleros intensively on his podcast. Talked about how, and I shit you not, he actually said this. Zach Caleros is his favorite quarterback he's ever played with, which is one hell of a statement to say when your quarterback is Patrick Mahomes. Holy shit. So, and also, you also have to keep in mind these guys are very, very close friends. And they were roommates back in college as well, which is just kind of funny because Zach Caleros to me is like the Where's Waldo of that image. Like one of these things is not like the other. Look at all these famous people and then look at the CFL All-Star.
I'm going to just throw something out there.
Yep.
CFL wise. Have you ever bought a jersey off of eBay?
No, I've considered it, but no.
So this is a Johnny Manziel.
Oh, God.
I don't know if you can see it.
A little bit. Lower it a little bit. Lower it slightly. Lower it.
$888.66 plus $20 shipping.
Lower it. More. Just so I can see the jersey. I can only see the price. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Hold on.
You got I couldn't read the text. Glorious. Good shit. This is signed. There's a reason it's still posted and that it hasn't sold yet, Rick.
It's a game worn jersey.
Wow!
And you even got the authentication paperwork.
Who knows? Maybe you'll put the jersey on and you'll become as big of a flop as well.
You know what? I might as well go get a jersey with Tommy Condell's name on it and just shoot myself in the foot. But aside from that, Carter.
Yes.
Is there anything that you want to discuss?
There is nothing else I want. We've been going for one.
One last thing. Okay. I'm going to throw this pitch out there.
Let's hear it.
Everyone, on February 13th, 12 noon, I will be live streaming the free agent frenzy for the CFL. On Ticats Top Network.
Good stuff.
And I will also be tweeting from the CFL Central's personal Twitter account on my phone as I have my screen over here and a screen over here. And I'm going to have my TV over here running in the background.
Nice.
But now, this is our longest video at an hour and 50 minutes.
An hour and 50 minutes. My computer is going to take like
A big
a billion
shit.
years
Render.
to render this video, and then a billion years to upload it to YouTube. It is what it is. I hope you people enjoy it. Seriously, it has been so long since we posted a video, and I know everyone in the CFL Discord especially has been saying they love those longer format videos. I hope you got patience, boy. We got almost 2 hours for you. This went like double length I was expecting. We got is the CFL Discord blown up?
Yep.
All right. Well, you guys, make sure you guys take care. Make sure you guys like, share.
And is it? And it's going up tomorrow?
It's going up whenever the hell I can get it up.
Oh, okay.
I'll try to get it up tomorrow.
I'll just say this week. Okay.
Yep, this week. Yeah, hopefully in the next few days. But yeah, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe if you have not already for more CFL content and to watch more of me losing my mind. I'm good at that. And to watch more of Rick finding ways to laugh at Toronto.
The best thing that I will say is come next year. Do you guys host it next year? Or is it BC? It's either BC than you guys, or you guys.
If this year is BC, then it's us the year after.
Okay. Everyone remember in 2 years, if you don't see Carter after the Grey Cup, I will send the search team out looking for a story behind off on a ditch somewhere because his Bombers lost it at home. But
for like the 6th straight year in the Grey Cup line. Okay. True. Well, make sure you guys take care, and we will see you guys next time. Touchdown!